Welcome. Welcome to the live. Welcome to Inner Mileage. Welcome to the live. Welcome. Welcome to the live. Welcome. Welcome to the live. Welcome. Coming in. Happy Friday. Welcome to the live. Happy Friday. Welcome in. Welcome in. Greetings. Come on in. Today we're talking about how narcissistic abuse initiates the empath into a new timeline. Rastafari. This is what we're talking about today. How narcissistic abuse initiates the empath into a new timeline. So come on in. How narcissistic abuse initiates the empath into a new timeline. So come on in if you want to know about how narcissistic abuse changes you, how it shifts you into a new timeline. Greetings. And how to understand and stabilize in this. Shalom. Then this is for you. Today we're talking about how narcissistic abuse initiates the empath into a new timeline. How narcissistic abuse initiates the empath into a new timeline. And the background we've got, My Life is Real by Nas and DJ Premier. New joint. My Life is Real, Nas and DJ Premier from the album Light Years. Because that's what you become. You get light years ahead when you become steeped in your empathy. Welcome in. So for those just joining, today we're talking about how narcissistic abuse initiates the empath into a new timeline. How narcissistic abuse initiates the empath into a new timeline. So come on in. It's going to be a transition. And you would understand why it feels like for a little while your life gets chaotic, right? And then you feel like you're isolated. And then you feel like you're losing your mind and you don't know what's going on. And then it feels like you're doing the right thing, but nothing is happening. Well, don't worry about it. Today, we're going to talk about all that. How narcissistic abuse initiates the empath into a new timeline. So come on in. That's what we're going to be talking about. Come on in. That's what we're going to be grappling with today. How narcissistic abuse initiates the empath into a new timeline. So if you want to understand why you may be feeling some of the things you're feeling, hi Winksley, why you feel the way you do, why it feels like you don't know what's happening, why you feel like you're in a waiting pattern, or it feels like you're doing all the right things but nothing is happening, or things are happening and it's so scary. What's going on? It's all because you've quantum leapt. So we're going to talk about how narcissistic abuse initiates the empath into a new timeline and how to stabilize in that so you don't get stuck, right? Or get confused, or even worse, retrogress, you see? So that's what we're going to be talking about. So this is what the whole story is. You see, it's a journey. And narcissistic abuse is an initiation into your journey, which is why, despite the pain of narcissistic abuse, it's important to be grateful that one experienced that experience. You know, it was not pleasant, because today I'm going to show you and explain to you how it shifts you to a new paradigm, how it shifts you into a new timeline. So that nightmare, absolutely, Don Marie, that nightmare, how did it shift you to a new timeline? And what that shift means for you. So we're going to get started in just a minute. I know it wasn't. So, but you understand why. And I'm going to go into it as much as I can today, you see? And then you hopefully we'll all have a shared understanding based on this deconstruction of what it means to quantum leap. So these words don't become mysteries to us. What it means to shift timelines. It's just some very practical things, right? So let me get started. You see, Before narcissistic contact, the empath's identity is relationally defined, meaning it's not weak, it's not naive, but that identity was all about belonging or seeking harmony, seeking meaning through others, or becoming people pleasing, right? It's about assuming that people have the same shared reality or the same ethics as you, or that the world is fundamentally workable. And that empath self is context dependent because it emerges through attunement and mirroring. And it's not a pathology. There was nothing wrong with you for being that way. There's nothing weak about you. It was sort of a pro-social evolutionary advantage. However, this identity was externally stabilized. It was dependent on reciprocal reality, and was vulnerable to power. This is what made the empath initiatable, right? Or what seemed like targeted by narcissistic families. Now, the narcissist comes in as a disruptive intelligence because the narcissist is not merely abusive. It doesn't matter what kind of narcissist or what the relationship is. The narcissist is relationally incompatible with relational reality because where the empath is attuned to truth and mutual recognition and coherence, the narcissist orients towards control, towards image preservation, and towards energetic extraction. And when these two systems interact, the empath is exposed to something unprecedented, meaning a reality that does not obey relational physics. This is the first rapture, the first betrayal. You see, narcissistic abuse does not primarily damage your emotions, it destabilizes your whole worldview. Because what the empath experiences, this is how you change, right? This is what I'm walking through that. You experience gaslighting, which leads to this epistemic collapse because you don't know what's true anymore. You're so surprised people have the nerve and ability to lie to you. You experience projection, which can contaminate your own identity. You have this need to play provider, which leads you to this place of rage, right? Or you seek intermittent reinforcement, therefore it makes you amenable to devaluation. So your nervous system enters survival mode. It doesn't matter how successful you are or you've been. And at this point, you, the empath, are no longer who you are. And you're not yet who you will become. That's the void phase. You see, and in ancient terms, that's the descent. Going into the underworld. If I'm talking to you, type transform. I want to know I'm talking to you. I don't want to just be talking to myself. Am I talking to you? I just want to know if I'm talking to you, just type transform in the comment section because I'm about to dive in. We're talking about, thank you, Dawn Marie. We're talking about timeline shifts. Thank you. If I'm talking to you, type transform in the comment section. That's what I'm going to talk about. All the timeline shifts is coming up, Winsley. Don't worry. Thank you. I'm talking to you. Thank you for all the comments and all the forums. I appreciate that. Thank you. So let me keep going. All right. I just want to make sure we're in this together. Timeline shifting, quantum shifting. It sounds so magical, but it's just basic math. So let's do this together. You see? So let me tell you, somebody just asked, what's a timeline shift? Let me tell you exactly what it is. A timeline shift is not mystical escapism. A timeline shift is not mystical escapism. Yes, it is a re-anchoring of your identity to a different organizing principle of reality. Let me say that again, family. A timeline shift is not mystical escapism. It is a re-anchoring. So from the old identity to a different organizing principle. I'm not a victim, I'm a victor. A new organizing principle of reality. So technically, a timeline shift is defined by the assumption that your nervous system treats as true. The assumptions that your nervous system treats as true. So if your nervous system is programmed for fear, for the worst will happen, or money's hard to come by, that is what you will get. If you look at the nervous system of any person who has any meaning or purpose in their lives, you will see that they have a nervous system that makes them know that the world is rigged in their favor. It doesn't matter whether the person is a moral being or not. But when you've been through narcissistic abuse, your nervous system, whatever your nervous system is programmed to treat as true, is what you would say. Do you see what I'm saying? You see? Now, the second thing is, your timeline is defined by the identity you reflexively enact. So what is the identity you reflexively enact? I am this, I am that, I think I'm that, I think I'm that. And how true is that? Most of us have prevailing stories in our mindsets, in our consciousness. So what is that reflexive identity that you enact? Ask yourself that. I used to think I was not good enough. So I was predisposed to wanting to overfunction. That was my default, you see? So I used to reflexively enact from that point, which is why I was a prime target for narcissistic abuse. Do you see? So ask yourself the same question. Then the third thing that defines the timeline is that the future your system implicitly expects. So if you look at the economy and say, I think things are not going to go well for me, my goodness, I mean, I'm not saying bypass reality, but by default, even if the economy is not going well, there are people making money who are just human, just like you. They're made of carbon and stardust. So a timeline shift occurs when the old identity can no longer survive in the same causal structure. Narcissistic abuse forces this because the old empathic identity cannot function under deception, right? The previous relational rules no longer apply, and time itself feels broken. So the empath is expelled from their former timeline without consent. This is why escaping narcissistic abuse feels violent, whether you discarded the narcissist or they discarded you. And hopefully you discarded them. Am I connecting to you? Am I talking to you? If I'm talking to you, type transform in the comment section. I want to know I'm talking to you. You see? So when you talk about what an identity shift is, right? After collapse, a new identity becomes possible, not automatic. And the new identity is characterized by internal rather than external reference. What do you say to yourself about yourself? What are the spells you're casting on yourself? Someone tell me I'm talking to you. Type transform. I'm describing your relationship with Western imperialism. Okay. Right? Your new identity is pattern recognition over emotional explanation. As Dr. Maya Angelou would say, when people show you who they are, believe them. Pattern recognition. Right? The new identity is characterized by presence over projection. You're not trying to act like you're someone else. You just are. And those who accept it. Those who don't, that's okay too, right? And then now, the new identity includes discernment over empathy without boundaries, Mr. Raven. So this is the witness identity, right? Where you're not dissociated, you're not hardened, you're not superior, but you're now structurally sovereign, right? You're not dissociated. So you, the empath, move from who am I in relation to such and such, right? Reverse discard, oh my. And then you become who am I regardless of you, right? Who not who am I if I'm not married to so and so, or if I don't have this last name, or if I don't live here, or if I'm not married to them, or if I don't live over there, or if I'm no longer part of that family, right? That's the quantum shift. The self, no thought, exactly. The self is no longer continuous without past identity. That's why a lot of people, when they go through spiritual awakenings, change the way they look, or change their names, or change the way they dress. The old self cannot be recovered without self-betrayal. You see? And reality now reorganizes around a new center of gravity. That's moving from the old condition to the new condition. But all of this sounds romantic, which is why I'm going to tell you why many empaths do not fully embody the new timeline. And That's what determines how long you get stuck in purgatory, how long you get stuck in the fourth dimension, how long you get stuck in the liminal space, how long you get stuck in that in-between space. Because the shift is often glimpsed but not inhabited. Why? Because embodiment, right? Embodiment, unicorn, I'm glad you forgave. Embodiment, right, requires letting your old identity die. Did somebody hear me? Embodiment requires letting your old identity fully die, right? Embodiment requires releasing moral superiority, the need to be a rescuer, and the need to spiritually bypass. It also requires tolerating loneliness without regression. Some call it the hermit mode, because there's no true healing without a period of isolation, right? It also requires, embodiment requires living without external validation loops, Don Marie. But many return to the old timeline by re-engaging narcissistic systems. Oh, they seem like they changed, so maybe I thought I'd just give them a chance. Or I don't know, they apologized, so I thought maybe, I was inconsistent in my boundaries, so that, you see, many return to the old timeline by over forgiving prematurely. Many return to the old timeline by re-identifying as the wounded one. Well, am I the narcissist? Or maybe I was too harsh. Or maybe I moved too quickly. Many return to the old timeline because they're seeking meaning without sovereignty. That's not failure, right? But I'm just telling you that it's very difficult. It's an identity withdrawal. And the nervous system misses the familiar even when it was deadly. We understand this because conditioning is so difficult to overcome. Am I talking to you? If I'm talking to you, just let me know. I want to know I'm talking to you. Somebody let me know I'm talking to you, Winksley. I want to know I'm talking to you, right? And if you want to know about this specific to your specific case, you can book a free session at innermanage.com. Thank you, the biggest. Thank you very much, Don Marie. Thank you. Thank you, H. Tim Snala. Thank you. So let's keep going, right? Now, embodiment is how the new identity, thank you, Lamont Wheat. Embodiment is how the new identity, Mr. Raven, exactly right. And now we're going to talk about the reprogramming. Embodiment is how your new identity stabilizes, because embodiment is not cognitive, right? It's not just repeating affirmations and that's it. It's very important. It is somatic and behavioral. I'm so glad you needed this. This is what we're here for. You see, embodiment, let me say it again, is not cognitive only. It is somatic and behavioral. It doesn't matter what condition you're in right now, right? It involves acting from truth even when it costs connection. Because anything you lose by speaking the truth is not a real connection. It also involves choosing peace over explanation. Always choosing peace over explanation. Am I talking to you? It also means letting silence replace performance. You don't have to do the blah, 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 the tap dancing. Be comfortable with silence, and allowing others to misunderstand you permanently is okay. So the body must learn peace over proving. Well said, right? No contact is good. Even better is no resonance, succulent struck by Mary. You see, the body must learn I can exist without proving, pleasing, or rescuing. Because if you have that old identity, then that's how you view our relationships. What's my value if I'm not proving, pleasing, or rescuing? But your value can be just from being in resonance. This is why embodiment feels slow, why it feels empty or boring at first. And the emptiness is sort of as non-duality, neutrality, stabilizing. So at full embodiment, the empath realizes that there was never a villain to defeat. There was no enemy. There was no damaged person to repair. And there was no past to avenge. There was only a misaligned identity which has dissolved, Deborah. And now, because of that dissolution, there's a high order coherence. Now, I'm not going to play down the suffering and wickedness you've experienced. But what I'm saying is when you come out on the other end and you understand why and how you came to this recognition that you're an empath, you begin to realize that there was no enemy. Nobody did anything to you. You did it because you gave permission, even if you did it unconsciously. That you were never damaged, that you were told you were damaged, even if your body was violated, was a spell designed to keep you in the hell realm, right? That even that is part of the illusion, that there's no past to avenge, because only love makes you unreachable by narcissistic abuse. So you realize that you had a misaligned identity, and once you started to come into alignment, narcissistic abuse couldn't exist. And that brings you to the highest order of who I am. Who am I? Who Soham Hamso, as the great Nisargadatta would say. You see, and in non-dual awareness, narcissists and empaths are not enemies. It is a fact that the narcissists are high-ranking children of the dark. Conversely, empaths are high-ranking children of the light. So they are portals of the same. And remember that the narcissist is very talented. You see, all of the narcissist intelligence is rooted in monitoring, which is why they are monitoring spirits. The empath is rooted in intuition. And so this is really about the triumph of light over dark. Not saying any is bad. It's about a continuum. I'm speaking from a portal perspective, right? You begin to realize that the narcissist and empath are strictly incompatible structures. You begin to realize that one collapses on the truth, whereas the other stabilizes through it. That's your liberation without hatred. So ultimately, narcissistic abuse is like a mystery school. Let me say that again. Narcissistic abuse was a mystery school. Shout out to the great Mariam Hasna. The narcissistic abuse was a mystery school, like in ancient Kemet. Shout out to Master Yasir Rahotep. In Asian cultures, initiation was dangerous. To go through an initiation was dangerous. But to go through an initiation was disoriented. To go through an initiation would shatter your identity. Like they would say, like a bar mitzvah or any kind of rites of passage in the Zulu or Hosa or just pick any shamanic tradition. And that identity shattering process is supervised. You see? So modern society has removed initiation, but the psyche still requires it. It's like going through a Freemasonic initiation. So narcissistic abuse or going through a sorority or fraternity and so forth, right? Or any kind of mystery society. Narcissistic abuse functions as an unsupervised initiation. Tell me I'm talking to you. Narcissistic abuse and narcissism functions as an unsupervised initiation. It's a brutal, but precise teacher. It's a brutal but precise teacher, right? And it forces your exit from unconscious identity. Who am I talking to? You see, this is how you become a cycle breaker. We have different ways in which we're called to do this. I'm speaking of many parallels here, so catch me wherever it fits you, right? It teaches discernment, narcissistic abuse, Mystical Raven. It teaches energetic hygiene. It teaches sovereignty. It teaches reality anchoring. It teaches non-attachment. And remember, you have to embody your new life before it arrives. You see, that's why when you see Cristiano Ronaldo about to take a free kick, you see him telling himself, you've done this millions of times. He's talking to himself, and he does it, right? That's what you see in visualization, people who visualize. That's how you cast spells. So to shift your timeline, you have to start acting as if, then taking the steps as if. Do you understand? So the empath who survives narcissistic abuse does not return as they were. I'm not the same person I was before realizing I was narcissistically abused my whole life. The return is irreversible. Oh, the return is irreversible. The return is irreversible. Do you see? So what the end point is not healing us repair. Like, what's the point of all this, Lamont? It's not just victimhood as meaning, oh, I went through a rough time. I understand suffering, you know. It's not just storytelling as identity. The end point is a self that cannot be gaslit. The end point is a nervous system that's anchored in truth. The end point is a presence that collapses false systems without effort. This is why such individuals, if you're a true empath, you trigger others without intention. Am I talking to you? You trigger others without intention. Has this ever happened to you? Am I just talking to myself? Don't you just trigger people without planning to? Has that ever happened to you? You walk into a room and you feel like the temperature has changed, even though you're trying to be low profile. Has that happened to you? Or am I just talking to myself? You see? The end point is, this is why when you are in this exactly complacency, when you're in this vibration, you disrupt performative environments. And then they'll tell you you're the problem. That's why but when you're wiser, you know how to dodge that, right? Like Neo in the Matrix. This is why you're misunderstood. This is why you get respect, but you get resisted at the same time. You see, this is what happens because you're starting to shift timelines, and you're no longer living from the wound that brought you here. You're beginning to live from clarity, Deborah. Transmutation, exactly. You see, so narcissistic abuse does not make the empath smaller, but the Jedi trick is to make you feel like you're smaller. Narcissistic abuse makes you feel like you're the problem. It's a projection, because anything the narcissist does is a confession. Anything the narcissist projects on you is a confession. This is how they play the game. So whatever the narcissist accuses you of is a confession. Whatever they are angry at you about is a confession. Whatever they talk down on you on is a point of your gifts. You see? So when you remove what is unstable, which is the narcissist could only be in your life because there was some measure of hate in you. Whether you call that I didn't love my body, or I didn't think I was good enough, or I'm not worthy, or there's something wrong with me, you know, all whatever the variation is, right? But when you transcend that, the only way you could transcend the narcissist and begin to escape, whether you were discarded or you discarded them, is that you start to come to connect to what is real, which is the non-dual perspective, that there's no separation between you and me. You become unhookable by their shenanigans. You become a quiet authority. You're free from the need to be seen. That's not survival. That's the initiation completed, you see? So the whole point of this is that the empath has an elevated mirror neuron, which enables the empath to feel. The wounded empath wanted to do everything for everybody, but the healed empath begins to become the lighthouse. Just like you have good cells in your body, the healed empath is a good cell in the cellular universe called humanity. Thank you, Chris. Do you see what I'm talking about? Am I making sense? So this is the game, right? When you begin to understand that your awakening is not simply for your purpose. You understand? It's about you. It's about you. It's about your awakening and how you are used to be of awakening to others. When did you find a sense of relief after the discard? I keep having to discard. Well, you shouldn't keep having to, you see. When you do it, your boundary should be no more. no more, so that they cannot keep coming back. Because the reason they keep coming back is that the job is not done. Remember, with a narcissist, there's typically no closure at the biggest. By the way, if you want to ask the question and come on video, you can do that on TikTok and Instagram, and on YouTube. I'll read your comments, right? But this is what happens, right? So this is how you timeline shift. You must begin to embody that identity that your purpose will activate. Even if you're not there yet, you should start training your nervous system. Because guess what? If let's assume this, think about what your biggest wish is, right? And so if you're already wealthy, then you're thinking about having peace. But if you have some peace, you're thinking about wealth. So let's talk about wealth. You're thinking about getting financial abundance. You say, okay, even if you got a big payday today, what's the first thing you would do? The first thing you would do is an emotional reaction. Where is the emotion process? In your nervous system. So it's not the physically touching the cash that changes the way you feel about yourself. It's your nervous system. It is the glands, the hormones in your nervous system that creates that. So acting as if and embodying secretes the same glands. But it's something you have to sustain over and over. You don't need to drive a new Ferrari every day to feel that feeling. But if you begin to train your nervous system, then your nervous system starts to feel that as normal. Then it starts to find ways to make your normal a reality, which is what Neville Goddard calls inspired action. Am I talking to you? Because if I'm talking to you, type transform. That's the whole how you timeline shift. You see? That's how you timeline shift. You have to start to see first. And that's taking visualization to the next level. This is about beginning to embody the identity of being a victor, the identity of being healed, the identity of being an overcomer, the identity of being worthy, the identity of being enough, the identity of being abundant. You see, and I thank you all for your energy and your feedback and all the conversation and all the donations, energetic and otherwise. Thank you so much. You understand? This is how you do it. And this is how you start to call your reality to you. Therefore, your mind will create space to give you the input on how you take inspired action to make your desires reality. That's how you come into alignment. You see? This is the whole kit and caboodle. That's the whole story. There's no one like you. There's absolutely no one like you. There's no one like you, I'm telling you. And the sooner you begin to tell that to yourself and see yourself as the absolute and as a ray of the absolute, and begin to radiate that energy, then other people are healed by your presence without knowing it. And as you take care of life, life takes care of you in the same way the good cells in your body expand. That's nature. Nature likes what's of benefit to itself. This is not some mysticism. You know, the nature is about survival of the fittest. And to be an empath is to be the fittest. That's why some of the most gangster people are some of the most polite. You see, as the saying goes, speak softly and carry a big stick. So when you start to come into your strength, you begin to create your own reality. And it's like a daily experience until you get used to, your nervous system gets used to the frequency in which you're ascending to. And to be able to do that, you realize that the pain from narcissistic abuse is what birthed you to that point. Am I making sense? Yeah. This is the information. This is the message. This is the message. Am I speaking to you? Because if this is connected with you, type transform in the comment section. Let me know I'm talking to you. Did I do my job today? I think I did my job. Just shine your light. Shine your light. And know that there's no one like you. There's absolutely no one like you. So when you fill the cup of the world, let me tell you a secret. One of the fastest ways to get help is to give help when you need help. When you give help to the world when you need it the most, that is the greatest act of faith. When you give help when you need help. So this is how you do it. This is how life takes care of life. You understand? So thank you so much for your time and attention. Sending you good energy wherever you are. If I can be of help to you, book a free session at innermileage.com. You can also check out my Escaping Narcissistic Abuse course at innermileage.com. And if you want to know what it's like to get a sense of where you're stuck, come through. So this is what it is. Shine your light. Be love in the world. Each one teach one. Each one reach one. You understand? One love. May Jaja fill your cup. Yeah, this is Vibes by the man Lotosh. Yes. Yeah. Jano. Woo! Fill my cup. You understand? Hey, big love. You understand? Be happy. Fill your cup. Be love. Be light. You understand? Thank you so much. One love, one love, one love, one love, one love. Up, up, up. Come on, Lotosh. One love, yeah? See you on Monday, 9 a.m. Pacific time, yeah? Blessings, blessings, blessings.